Welcome back to Sunrise here on Tobago Updates Television. As promised before we went for that break, we will be discussing should police investigate police with Captain Gary Griffith. But even before we jump into the conversation with him, this conversation is springboarding from comments made by Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander. I needed to take a look at this short clip.
Is not trusted only when you are not a victim of crime.
Aaron.
Because if we are standing here right now and 5 men circle us, hear what he would be asking me. Xander, is there any police wrong here, boy? Because you know why? You trust them then. I am not here. I am not a minister for the police, you know, because it's there where I came from. I'm a minister for the people. But I understand it from a different angle.
He says, like other fraternities, the police service should be allowed to investigate itself.
If you have a problem with the legal fraternity, who do you go to?
The Law Association.
Are they not lawyers? If you're dealing with the doctors, who do you go to? If you have a problem with the doctors, go ahead. If you're dealing with the teachers, who do you go to? I would not even answer that question further. I hope you understand where I'm going with this.
Former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith has claimed during his 3 years in charge of the TTPS, the public trust and confidence in the service increased. He says that has dwindled with Samaru's killing. Asked what he intends to do to address the drop in.
All right, so that was Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander giving his justification as to why police should investigate police. And so we're going to take that conversation right into some expert commentary this morning as we speak to Captain Guy Griffith, former police commissioner and national security minister right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Captain Griffith, I'm hoping that you were able, good morning, so firstly, I'm hoping that you were able to catch that short clip there, right there with Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander saying, the Law Association, who are all lawyers, investigate lawyers, medical board, all medical doctors, investigate medical practitioners, teachers, you go to tutors, oversight body, they investigate each other. Why any other external body to investigate police officers? It should be police officers investigating police officers. So your comments on that?
Hi, good morning. I've heard some comical statements by politicians, but I think that one was the most comical ever. What Roger Alexander actually did was to emphasize exactly why you need a body outside of the police service to investigate police officers. I couldn't believe when he said it, and he says it, and the media doesn't say, but you know, Roger Alexander, tutor doesn't investigate teachers. The Law Association does not investigate the attorneys. Tutor, what Roger Alexander's point was, emphasize why you need a body outside of the police service. Because the role and function of tutor is to look after the well-being and the interests of teachers. The role and function of the Law Association is to look after the interests and well-being of attorneys. So that is it. It is himself unto himself or herself unto herself. So just by him making those comments, it shows that he didn't even understand that he has now re-emphasized the point of why you must have an external body. Because you will never hear a tutor condemn a teacher or criticize a teacher. You will never hear the Law Association say they want to suspend an attorney. So just by Roger Alexander making that, I mean, I know he's not the sharpest tool in his shed, but this was unbelievable. I actually had a 12-year-old nephew and he said, Uncle, but what he's just showing is confirming exactly why you need an external body, because you will never hear tutor say that we are taking disciplinary action on a teacher. You will never hear the Law Association say they're taking disciplinary action, because the Law Association is there to find ways to make sure they protect the well-being of attorneys. Tutor is there to protect the well-being of teachers. And that is what police may do as well. And I'm not saying all police officers. In fact, it could be just the opposite. I was a commissioner of police, and there were certain police officers, because I realized they were running drug blocks, they were involved in questionable activities. They formed a group to try to have me arrested by trying to frame me, by trying to tell somebody to say that how I assaulted him. Not knowing that person was my confidential informant. He went and got all the information, did a sworn affidavit, called the names of these police officers, and then after he was killed. Surprise, surprise, surprise. So it shows the point of even when police investigate police, they might deliberately go out of their way, whether it is for promotion, whether it is because of being vindictive, or whatever. And then there's also the other element of police officers. With police officers, there's my batch. You were there with me all the time. I would be there to protect you. Notice something. If somebody shoots someone and riddles a car and there's a video footage, that civilian would be charged within weeks. When police officers riddle a car, watch and see, it's going to take several years for that investigation to be completed for them to be charged. There was a similar situation when I was commissioner of police, that Mova shooting. That took place 7 years ago. And it took 7 years for the police to realize the video footage is clear as day that these officers should have been charged. They spent several years dragging it. And the same thing will very well happen with this situation with Samaru. And that is exactly why you must have that external body. And this is not in any way for the public to say that let us not trust the police. But things happen. If police could protect police, they will look to support each other. Just by Roger Alexander making this comment, it shows he seems to have a fear factor of an external body looking after and making sure there's a proper degree of accountability for police officers. We love to look at developed countries and things, but when you look at the developed countries, there's something in the United States called the Internal Affairs. That is similar to the Police Complaint Authority. But what it has is police officers. Even though they are police officers, they are outside of the police service, that you could be a junior officer and you could charge and you could investigate and charge a senior police officer. But because you're outside of the system, once you're inside that pyramid of the Tobago Police Service, you could very well be pressured, manipulated. When it is you're doing the investigation, a senior officer will say, hey, that man you're investigating is my batch. You better know for yourself what will happen if you decide to pursue this. All of this pressure that a police officer can get by trying to investigate another police officer, it is not right, which is why you have the internal affairs with police officers outside of the umbrella of that relevant police department, whether it be NYPD, Chicago, Detroit, Boston, LA. And now they cannot be pressured, they cannot be influenced, but they are also closely monitored by civilian oversight, which is why the PCA having those type of police officers under the umbrella, having the capability, the authority, the independence to be able to investigate the police service and police officers is exactly what this country needs. Failure to do that is why it is that we have single digit in public trust and confidence. The reason it was 59% with myself, even though the PCA didn't have the authority, anything the PCA said, I decided to go ahead with it. So I gave the PCA that degree of flexibility and strength. Here, commissioners before and after me, they don't see the PCA, they don't report, they don't give them information, they don't give them files. Imagine even in the Samaru shooting, the PCA officers came to me, voiced their concern. The PCA, they were prevented from speaking to the young lady who was shot in that vehicle for several days. They didn't even want the PCA to speak to her. That is the type of cover-up that will take place if police just decide to investigate police solely.
Captain Griffith, I want to ask you, when a situation like that does occur, I want to speak to evidence, because opposition leader Penelope Beckers is calling for a thorough investigation, and she said, let the evidence be made public, so that as to bring some sort of ease to the public, because we know where public trust is right now. Of course, Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander said the evidence would be released in court. My question to you is, even on the crime scene of that day, what exactly is the procedure? Because is it that police collects the evidence, but is it that Police Complaint Authority would have someone there overseeing and even the transfer of such evidence into its holding or keeping place, the bagging and the tagging, and is there some sort of follow through from PCA, or PCA just waits on the files?
Yeah, and that is very unfortunate. The Police Complaint Authority, they came up with a brilliant idea that they want to have, as soon as there's a murder involving any shooting involving a police officer, they requested that they immediately be told. I put that as a standard operational procedure. That ended after I left. Surprise, surprise. They then asked that they would like to have access to be able to get into the crime scene immediately. So as soon as the shooting takes place, that they want to have access, usually have the yellow tape. I gave full authority for that. That ended as soon as I left. So you see, with all of these things, it allows many people to believe you're trying to cover and defend police officers. Why you don't want PCA to be immediately informed if there's a police-involved shooting? Why don't you want the PCA to be immediately have access to be on the crime scene? So they have deliberately prevented the PCA. So when there's a shooting or there's a murder, whatever, if it involves police officers or not, the police have full authority for that crime scene. So they can dictate who has access in or out. They can block the media, they can block the family, they can block the PCA. But why block the PCA? Why prevent them from being on the crime scene? Why prevent them from speaking to the victims or the suspects? Why prevent them from having access to being told immediately if there's a shooting? When you do these things, it gives the impression you're trying to cover. And let me tell you, there's a reason why there are certain police officers or even retired police officers who are very concerned about the PC having some degree of authority, not just oversight, but authority and investigative authority, I should say. Because there are police officers who have their files in the PCA with serving police officers and previous police officers, and the files involve investigations pertaining to these police officers involved in extrajudicial killing. So giving the PCA this degree of authority can very well cause these police officers now to be charged for murder. So what they want is to just have the PCA have that oversight to be there to monitor or whatever, but you don't give them the authority, you don't give them the investigative capacity, you don't give them the information to know when there's a shooting, you don't allow them to have access to the crime scene, you don't allow them to speak to the suspects, you don't allow them to speak to the victims. It seems when these things happen, there's just two words that come up, and that's cover up.
And Captain Griffith, could you, if you do know, if you can tell me, why do these matters take this long? Because even as you mentioned, the Mover shooting, 7 years. I mean, even in Tobago here, we have 2 incidents that would have happened over a year ago, almost a year ago with one, with elderly gentleman who was shot at home. The officer, apparently he was senile and the officer wasn't sure. And then another one where we had a video and it looked, as though the man was on the ground and the officer pulled the trigger and had some words to say after that. And there hasn't been any word yet on what is happening. But why do these investigations take that length of time? Is it just procedure, or is it something like the PCA is being starved for the information that they need to move forward? What do you think caused that delay, sir?
Possible cover up, and that is just my point. So it's the PCA has they only have advisory capacity. They don't have the authority to arrest or to charge. So what the only PCA now is a toothless bulldog, and that is why I continue to insist there must be legislative changes to allow the PCA to have not just investigative capacity, but the authority to arrest and charge by bringing police officers under the umbrella of the PCA, having them thoroughly polygraphed on a regular basis, making it known to them that you are now independent. No police officer can pressure you, direct you, manipulate you, influence you, bribe you, and you now have full reign. The police officers in the United States, they fear the internal affairs. When that internal affairs turns up, they panic because they know we're coming for you. And there's nothing you can do. You can't pressure us. You can't bribe us. You can't manipulate us. That is what is needed. So, and I mentioned that if there's a video footage of a man pointing a firearm at another man and firing it, and the man is shot, within weeks, that person is going to be charged for murder. But in this country, a police officer does that. They are going to look at that same video footage and spend several years because it's a police officer that's doing the investigation. And again, nobody will cover and protect police officers more than Gary Griffith. I will stand up on the front line, whether it's CLOTs, whether it is operations, whether it is traffic congestion. I'll be there with my troops because I will take a bullet for any police officer. But in the same manner, I also had the record of the Commissioner of Police with the highest number of police officers suspended, arrested, and charged, because I will bust your throat if you do something wrong. And that is why I gave the PCA so much authority, because they did not have the legislative authority. So what I gave them was the capacity. I met with them once or twice every month personally, hearing about this file is being hidden. This officer is not giving them this access. They want to have access to the crime scene. They want to have access to speak to the victims, to speak to the suspects. They want to be told immediately when there's a shooting. The things that David West was speaking about is exactly what the Internal Affairs has authority to do. But all he could do was ask, and I was given. As soon as I left, they've pulled it all back. And that is why you can have this situation of seeing video footage of 3 officers riddling a car, and bet your bottom dollar it is going to be about several years before any charges can be laid, if it is that what those officers did was wrong and they broke the law. That is why you need an independent body outside of the police. So to hear Roger Alexander make this comment to say, well, if 5 people are around you, the first person you will call is the police. Because, Roger, that is the job of the police service. The police service is there to protect and serve. It doesn't mean because if it is that I am under pressure and I need protection. I will call the police service. It now means that the police should investigate police. That has nothing to do with it. He's trying to basically say, because you all need us, we must have the right to investigate ourselves. I think that is probably the dumbest comment ever made. If it is your role and function is to protect people if 5 people circle you, that's your role and function, brother. You do it. Right? You're not here to do us favors. That's your job. But in the same manner, if it is you do something wrong, you can't come back and say, yeah, but don't come and blame us because we investigating each other. Because if 5 people surround me, you will call the police. And Roger Alexander really need to stop saying, that is not how people speak. So by stating 5 people surround you, that you'll call the police could justify why police must investigate police. It is irresponsible. And the comments that I am making is simply to ensure public trust and confidence can increase. If public confidence and trust increases, it reduces crime. It pegs back the criminals. It helps the police in the performance of their duty because now they get more information, they get more data, they get more evidence. Because the most practical and productive method of solving crime is something known as human intelligence. That there's no such thing as a perfect crime. If citizens are frustrated, they are fed up of police officers harassing them, bad talking them, ridiculing them, and then you write to the PCA, nothing can be done because the PCA is being blocked. And then when you write to the police service, the police is going to have an officer investigate a police officer for cursing you, abusing you, threatening you in a roadblock, pointing a gun to your head, or even shooting your family, and then you realize it will take several years. That is what is breaking down public confidence and trust in the police service.
And Captain Griffith, right before we wrap really quickly, I just want to highlight one last point that Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander commented on, where there was a viral video going around with a local blogger rating our past commissioners, and you were rated the best commissioner in recent years. Minister of Homeland Security Roger Alexander said it is not a competition and it is not a I, and there's no I in team. He said it's all about the people. Any comments on that statement regarding you being named the best commissioner by this blogger within the past recent years?
Well, again, it's all based on individuals. I mean, when I was commissioner of police, there was a 70% public confidence and trust, which was the highest of public servants ever. But that is irrelevant. What was of concern to me was the public trust of the police service was 59%. So, and I said I wish that the numbers could change, that public trust and confidence in the police could be higher than myself as the commissioner of police, because I would leave. And I know when I leave, commissioners after me will shut down and dismantle everything I put in place, inclusive of body cameras, tasers, pepper spray, GPS tracking on vehicles, SWOT, online reporting, the police app, 100 different things that Jacob, Euler, and Guerrero have shut down. That was my concern. So it is not about the individual. The individual is there to provide, to be the catalyst to lift the police service. So people like Roger Alexander, when you say that there's no I in team, usually people who fail usually use that comment because there's no I in team, but there's an I in win. And what I intended to do as a leader was to win the hearts and minds of citizens, win the hearts and minds of the public, to make sure that they can trust the police service. So yeah, Roger, there's no I in team, but there's I in win. And that's what I am. I'm a winner. And being a winner means serving my country and doing what is best for the police service.
All right, Captain Griffith, on that note, I want to thank you so much for your service to Trinidad and Tobago. And even if out of office, as you continue to do so, keep bringing us all the information that we need on the various topics and even keeping officials on their toes. Thank you so very much for your continued service. I want to wish you a great day. And as always, we look forward to having you back here on Sunrise to discuss further topics. Have a wonderful one today.
Same to you.
All right. So viewers, that was Captain Gary Griffith, the former Minister of National Security and former Commissioner of Police. Gary Griffith discussing, should police investigate police? How are you feeling about that? And you know, when you always think about how you're feeling about that, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, if I have an incident with the police, just like we have Mr. Lewis right here in Tobago, I know a lot of Tobagonians are reeling from that incident. That wasn't police, sorry, that was soldiers. I was the defense force. If that was me, my son, my brother, my husband, my uncle, would I want that body? Would I want the soldiers investigating the soldiers? Would I want an external body? So you can leave your comments in the comments section this morning. That's it for Sunrise here on Tobago Updates Television. But that is not it for programming. We head on over to the morning show with the lovely Renessa this morning. Renessa, good morning. All right. I hope you're having a really great day today, and I want to wish you a wonderful, wonderful one. I know you have a packed show for them, and I hope that you have a lovely day, and I'll definitely see you tomorrow.
Valentine's this morning.
All right. Have a great one. All right, viewers. So that's it for Sunrise. As promised, we head on over to the morning show with the lovely Renessa. And then we have Chanel Felix, none other than my girl Chanel. She is coming here to have further conversations with you. And GMT, that's Good Morning Tobago. Tomorrow, I'll be right back here as we continue conversations that you need to hear me have with the experts and relevant authorities. All right. And I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you so much. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, where innovation meets excellence and the service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products. It's about relationships. It's about you. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant, and full of possibility. It's who we are and the heart of everything we do. For over 150 years, we've been right here, invested in the Caribbean, its people, and its progress. And today, we're going even further. We're deepening our commitment to the region, continuing to invest in the networks, services, and digital solutions that move Caribbean businesses forward. Whether you are a mid-sized business or a multinational player, we bring you resilient connectivity, personalized service, and tailored IT solutions, all powered by local teams that truly have your back. We're here to help you navigate challenges, grow, and achieve your goals with practical solutions, reliable networks, and a partnership rooted in trust and your long-term success. Liberty Business, rooted in the Caribbean, committed to you.